And we're joined now by Raheem Sterling, who's at Chelsea's training ground. Raheem, thanks so much for giving up your time for us today. We've just seen your goals so far this season, and we do want to talk more about you and how things are going for you, but we need to reflect on the result of the weekend first of all. Couple of days on, how's everyone feeling?
Like anything, really disappointed. I think as a collective we know it wasn't an acceptable performance. There's no way we should be getting beaten by that scoreline, and it's one that we need to act on. You know, we need to be a collective. It's still early in the season, and build from here.
Have you been a bit surprised by it, because everything seemed to be going well under Graham Potter?
Yeah, like anything, you know, the manager has been putting his touch on the team, and we've been learning from him, and you know, trying to get to how he wants us to work. And you know, when you're trying new things, we've not a lot of time. You know, sometimes these things can happen, and the more we have with him, the more we can be on the training pitch and see how he wants to work, and is the better it'll be.
He's doing a lot more defensive stuff, Raheem. Is that something you're looking forward to doing, having to do that back work as well? Because I'm not used to seeing you that far back some of the times.
Yeah, it's like anything, as I said, you've come to a new team, there's different things going to be asked of you. It's a completely different shape, but I haven't played in a back five for a while, but it's something the manager's asked me to do, something that I'm more than happy to do as well. We've got the ball, I'm high and wide, and of course you have to defend as well, that's part of the game, but the more of course I'm next to the box, the better for myself. But the more time I have and to figure it out in this position, I'm more than happy to play it.
Because as you say, you've been happy to play wing back, you're happy to play up front, but you even at that stage said you're more comfortable being out on the wing. Have you talked a bit about, you know, the progression, the opportunities that you're going to have in that favourite position of yours?
Yeah, of course. I feel my best position is a winger, that's for sure. But like anything, you know, the manager has his way of playing, and it's anything. He's not had a full pre-season with us, I should say. You know, he was dropped in the middle of a storm, really. He's come in, and I think he's grabbed it with both hands, and you know, he's trying to figure out the best personnel for positions, and I'm sure, as I keep saying, with time, it will all gel nicely.
So back in London, Raheem, how's it been back in London? Because you've been up north for a long time now, back in London. How's it going? How's it settling? How are you finding it? How's everything at the club, everything?
No, to be fair, it's been a pleasant time so far, actually. Really nice. I just keep getting asked questions like, yeah, you just get on the M25. I'm like, what's that? But yeah, there's, you know, still finding my way around the city and knowing certain things. Like anything, as you said, I've been gone for a long time, and you know, don't really know London as much, but enjoying my time back in London.
And it's right, you said, you know, you were at Liverpool and at Manchester City. You were kind of part of teams that, well, the strike force at Liverpool was Suarez and Sturridge, and then you've got the Scousers in the team like Gerrard and Carragher. But then you go to City, it's a team full of superstars. Is there a chance at Chelsea for you to kind of, maybe you won't say this, but be the main man?
Yeah, I wouldn't say the main man. It's a collective thing. As I said, there's been early parts of the season that I was, you know, happy with my performances, and so far I've been nowhere near the level that I need to be. But I'm for sure that time will pass. It's not something that, you know, I'm panicky or stressed about. It's part of the game. We're in good positions. We qualified for the Champions League. We're in, you know, a decent position in the table. It could be better, but there will be better performances from myself in the near future.
Right, I got to ask you, because obviously Arsenal coming up in a week. I was praying that there was truth in the talk about you maybe coming, but it didn't happen. But at the same time, I was going to say about
you can ask him what they're saying.
The game, yeah. See, I got so sidetracked by thinking of him in a red kit. But the game coming up next week, Arsenal at the moment. What's it like? What are you lot saying about Arsenal at the minute? Seeing them top and everything. What's the talking of the dressing room like about Arsenal?
Yeah, like everyone in the public can see, they've had a great start to the season. They've played some beautiful stuff, and they're a team that, you know, they've been building for a few years now, and that's what we're looking to do, is to keep building. And it's a game that I think will be, you know, a really interesting one. They're a possession-dominant team, and, you know, so we are ourselves. So I do think it'll be a good match.
But it's a team you always score against.
It's a team that I always score against, and
Always.
it's a team that hopefully I can break this duck against. So nah, I'm joking, but it's one that it's going to be an interesting game for sure. You know, the way they're playing, they're playing some beautiful stuff. Mikel's got them playing some free-flowing football. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's the particular problem that Arsenal pose, and obviously that's your absolute focus, right? You think that everybody's just thinking about Arsenal all the time. Dinamo Zagreb before then for Chelsea as well. But look, Rahim, as you say, with you know, you've got to start the season with one manager. You've got Graham Potter coming in without having had the pre-season, trying to hit the ground. The fixtures are coming so thick and fast in this run-up to the World Cup. Does it feel like this break can be a chance? It's kind of about where you go into the break in terms of league position, the performances, and just carrying that through so you can start well again in January or late December. Yeah,
exactly as you said, and I said before, the manager came in, you know, at a difficult period. You know, I think we had one win in Champions League, and we just built on some good performances, got straight through on some performances as well. Like anything, these things take time. I didn't come here, you know, with just this season in mind. I came here on the vision that the club had, and I'm, you know, really focused in on that vision and know that we will get there.
You know, I wanted to talk to you about one of my favourite Raheem Sterling goals. Is the one against Southampton, that right to the death. Which one? Do you remember the one when you came from the right and then you played a 1-2 with Kevin De Bruyne and you curled it in? That is my favourite Raheem Sterling goal. That's the one. And then your celebration was like really intense and yes, bro.
Really excited.
What's your favourite goal, Rahim? What's your favourite goal?
No, to be fair, that is up there for sure.
Was it the significance?
I think that. Yeah, I think the significance. I think there's that one there, and then I would say my goal for Liverpool against City as well. That was another. You know when you talk about like feeling inside, that was a big feeling, a nice feeling, I should say. So yeah.
And hopefully plenty more of them to come across the rest of the season. Rahim, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Rahim.
Thank you very much.
No worries, man.
Do you know what people don't know is that you're seeing him on Thursday for a work thing, and you said at the beginning, you went, "Oh, I'm seeing you on Thursday." He went, "Am I?" Because for you, it's the highlight of the week.
Yeah, and he didn't remember. No, he was quite cool. He was quite funny about it.
But look, there's only so much he can say. He comes out.
Yeah.
He's the senior player who comes out to speak and do all the round of media interviews on the Monday morning after a 4-1 defeat by Brighton. You know, and it's the former boss going back to his old side.
Yeah.
So there's only so much really he can say about it. But in terms of his position, he's played at centre forward, a little bit on the wing, which is where he wants to play, and at wing back. Is there any wonder that Chelsea fans aren't seeing the best of him yet?
Yeah, so it's one of the confusing things what Graham Potter's doing at the moment. I can't get my head around, because even when I've done the analysis on the game, the full-back area was just there for Brighton, just absolutely tore them to shreds out there, because you got Pulisic and you got Raheem Sterling, who was supposedly made to try and come and help Chalobah and Cucurella, and it wasn't happening. I couldn't understand it, and there's no way he could be happy playing that role, especially when you look at what he's done at City and the team he is playing in, and everything was really concentrated on offence for him. It must be really strange and tough for him to go to a new club and have to play in a position like that. So I'm hoping they can sort that out soon for him.
Because you know that position. Like, what on earth is he having to do extra and think about? Because he's been doing it for so long, so much of it will be automatic, won't it?
He's an expert as a wide player, and I think I played on the wing. You'd never want me to defend, because it's not in my nature. I'm an attacking-minded player. He's an attacking player. You want him to go forward. And you're right, if he's got Cucurella who's attacking-minded. And there's parts on the other weekend, I'm seeing Thiago Silva be dragged all over the shop. Thiago stays in the centre of the pitch and then orchestrates it. But I feel for Sterling because you want to play to your superpowers. He's attacking, he's a winger, he's out and out, creating, getting goals. It's just anxiety of, defending, doing things unnaturally, and then you're just annoyed. I would be annoyed, trying to be out of my position. And you move from City, you say, I wasn't happy at City, I want to play. You come to Chelsea, change your manager, and then you've been pulled from pillar to post. How is he expected to thrive? He's not.
And as he explained there is an element of a new manager comes in, doesn't have a pre-season, is trying to experiment. He played Pulisic and Sterling as wing-backs in the European games against Salzburg, which makes sense if he's trying to get to know what his players' strengths are. But to do that in the Premier League, when Raheem Sterling, by all accounts, has come to Chelsea to be the star. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't want to say it himself, understandably, but that's kind of what Chelsea wanted to do. They wanted to build the team around Rahim.
Yeah, it's the marquee signing of the summer, and I think I can understand there's no time for Graham Potter to work at training because they play every 3 days. I get that. But I think there's a limit to your own methods. You can work at Brighton and you can put Trossard as left wing back or Gross at right wing back or Solly Marsh at right, but this is Chelsea Football Club and this is Raheem Sterling, and I don't think it's very productive to play him, and even Pulisic to some extent.
Especially you've got Chilwell. You've got Chilwell on the bench.
Exactly. You've got Reece James, I understand, on the right side, although Aspilicueta maybe could. But on the left, Chilwell on the bench, and for Chilwell, it's the wrong message you're sending him because he's watching Raheem Sterling struggling. For Raheem, it's even worse, I think, to play him there.
Yeah. They've got quite a tricky run of fixtures coming up, Chelsea, as well. And there's a sense that having started quite well under Graham Potter, certainly in terms of results, performances maybe were a little more patchy, but there was a sense that something was building under him, and now it feels like just one defeat and the wheels have come off. They've got Dinamo Zagreb in midweek, then it's Arsenal, City and Newcastle to come before the end of the season. Those Arsenal-Newcastle games, the Premier League fixtures, of course.
But the thing with it is, Kels, it's the way that they played it. It was so disorganised. I know that they haven't lost, lost 1 in 10, did you say?
Oh, just this one, yeah.
But you look at it, the way they played the other day, it seems like that's not good form. That's not good form. And when you look at the teams that's coming, I think every one of those teams, but if he doesn't make that more solid and get something going in there, whether it's Kovacic or Jorginho, because Jorginho was on the bench, I think, as well. And so Chelsea have got a way of playing up the pitch and with proper fullbacks, then I think that's going to happen again. I think it might be papering over cracks, the games up to this point, because if he's that far off it with getting them two as wing-backs and then like you mentioned, Thiago Silva being pulled into play by Trossard, Chalobah being pulled into play, and then space. They can't carry on like that because they will get beaten. They'll get beaten quite heavily. Like, look what Brighton done to them, So it's a worry. He's got to sort that out quickly because it's not going to be good for him.
No, and even you look back at the Manchester United game and you look at and Brentford, where they were so lucky towards the end. Was that under Tuchel, or was that? No, that was Potter. That was Potter.
They could easily have lost that game too. So
I think they've had a couple.
Was a little bit on the wall.
Yeah, they've had a couple of results where it could have gone the other way, and that's what happens sometimes. And that's why you need the manager to come out and like we'll talk about it later, like Ten Hag. He comes out and he tells you what's wrong, what he's seeing, what's wrong now, even when you win. And I think that's something that maybe he needs to do. Graham Potter.
What, right? A lot of people say about him, he changes it, doesn't he? He changes in the second half or changes. Why doesn't he get it right from the start?
These are the questions.
Why do you not go? Hold on a minute, Brighton. They're going to probably overload us. We're playing with these two fullbacks who are actually wingers. It's not going to work, and Thiago's going to be pulled out, and we've got. It's not going to work. So I'm a bit like, why does he not nail it from the start?
It felt a little bit weird as well when you see Graham Potter's going back there. Yeah. The players are going to have an extra 25%. They're going to find it from somewhere. And the way they closed them down in the first half just gave them the impetus. And then with no wing-backs, no one coming back to help, I just couldn't understand why he done that.
But then he waited the 65th minute to change. Yeah. I think the keeper was changed at half-time because keeper was injured. And then 80th minute to bring on Broja and Ziyech. I'm like... After 25 minutes, we could see what was wrong, and yet he waited so long to change.
Maybe he's done too many changes and he's starting to think about
that. This is the thing. It's not just the changes in game that we're talking about here. It's the rotation from week to week, midweek to weekend. But you can maybe understand that if he comes in and having come from Brighton and now having to manage a squad that is expected to challenge on more than one front. It may be in his head. It's a way of keeping players fresh. But is there a level when you look at performances and they aren't going well, you go, where's the level of consistency missing from that? Do the players want to be playing something a bit more consistent?
Yes, or you want to have a certain pattern. So if you're changing the players around, they still know what you're doing. Instead of, at the moment, with the changes happening, there's no fluidity.
Yeah.
There's no like consistency of play. So no matter who the personnel is, they come in, you're still going to play the same kind of way, Kels. And I think that you have to get back to that. You know, so as then you can say, right, at least we've got the solid base of what we're doing because we've got quality players, and then we can build confidence in getting back to doing what we do. But at the moment, if they play like they played against Brighton, they're going to get beat heavily again.
Perception changes so quickly, though. If we were doing this last week, we'd have been saying they've had really good results under Graham Potter. He's getting so much right. But it could change again next week because they've got Arsenal. It's a huge game next weekend. You asked Raheem Sterling about it. Did Chelsea hold any major problems for Arsenal, do you think?
What you mean, next week in the game coming? Well, yeah, because you have to respect the players they've got, and he's got the players.
You don't have to speak as a manager, it's okay.
No, I'm not speaking as a manager. I'm just trying to speak with my sensible head on what I would do if I'm Graham Potter now, because you have to stop that bleeding quickly, and you want to show the fans, especially at home, Kels, that, okay, I'm going to make it solid, I'm going to get us playing well so as we can put pressure on the Arsenal side that start very well, but maybe they fade. So you want to keep them at bay, and then you go from in the second half. So he's got the players to be able to do that, in respects of Chilwell, maybe Aspilicueta, make it more solid, Jorginho, Kovacic, whoever he's going to play them out. But he's got the players. So why it's still a tough game for Arsenal is because if Chelsea change that, and then they're playing in a London derby at home, then Arsenal are going to be properly tested. But if they don't, and then Arsenal will beat them. They'll beat them.
Yeah, it's a real opportunity to kind of get the crowd grumbling, because there have been murmurs from that Chelsea crowd. They're not quite settled under this new era Chelsea under Graham Potter. Just if Arsenal go ahead, as you say, in that game, or even put Chelsea under serious pressure, it could start to feel quite nervy there.
Yeah, I mean, they're a crowd that's used to winning, and I think you're right, they've had that shift. But I think Wright, hits a nail on the head. He's got to have... Chelsea always have strong foundations. They're always difficult to beat when they were in their strong period. For me, they look like they could be scoring, they could have been 2-0 down after about 2 minutes the other day. Yeah. They've got to get the base right. You've got to pick your best. If you're going to go with the 5, pick your best 5. Don't be too clever, too smart. This is Arsenal, top team in form. They're going to pull you around. Have your foundation strong. You've got a good bench, and pick it off then. But I think... Go back to basics, defend right, defend properly, and then you can't do it against an Arsenal. They will pull you to pieces if you defend like that.
It's a bit of a puzzle as well, because Brighton were good defensively. They struggled to score, which is why they got more draws than maybe they should have done over the seasons under Graham Potter. And so this sort of defensive experimentation feels quite strange.
Yeah, it does. To be fair, there's no Koulibaly. I think that injury really hurt them. No Fofana from a longer time, and no Rory Jennings either, which I think... makes you have to tinker a little bit if you're Potter. However, Aspilicueta was on the bench, Chilwell was on the bench. You could easily have put Thiago Silva, Cucurella, Aspilicueta. There was enough defenders still before playing Pulisic and Sterling as the right and left.
You could play one, but not both.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you could have one as an attacking wing back and then tuck round.
Yeah,
two
completely.
And
a hybrid back 4, back 3 if you want. Which again, I'm very surprised that Potter went with that formation and that system in that game against Brighton when he knew they would be under pressure. He knew they would press them high. And your wing-backs as well help you massively in your build-up structure to beat the press.
Yes.
But not with Pulisic and Sterling. That's not what they do.
It's really interesting. We started off by hearing from Raheem Sterling, who's not been scoring goals for Chelsea, but has been played in a position where he's not necessarily going to get the opportunities to do that. Gabriel Jesus, similarly for Arsenal, not been scoring goals, but is he less of a concern maybe than Sterling is? I
think only because the rest of the guys are chipping in. I think that one of the things you want more as a striker is if you're not scoring, at least the rest of the team's scoring and you're still contributing something, which he's doing. You know what? If I was playing that game, Kills, once it gets to 2-3-0, I'll kind of abandon my coming out of the box and linking up play. I'm tell you honestly, I don't do that no more. I leave it out there for Dennis or whoever it is because I want to make sure I'm scoring. I want us to be scoring 3 and 4 and 5 and I'm not on the score sheet. When you look at Jesus and you look at the amount of work he's doing outside the box, he has got the energy to get in there. But then even on Saturday, he had 2 very good chances, which I think that a player of that caliber, he should have taken them because it was all in his hands, and he didn't. So that's a little bit of a worry because people are constantly talking about, well, he's not a natural finisher. Started the season on fire, and then we're seeing a couple of misses now. Now everybody's starting to say, well, we told you so. But talking about somebody who does contribute a lot, he will score goals. And, you know, as long as the team's scoring, you can't, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and if you're getting your shots on target,
Absolutely.
eventually something's going to go in. You can't kind of be on that cold streak, if you like, for that long, for Gabriel Jesus. But there's also, we need to factor in the fact that he started so brilliantly, he's going to be targeted by the opposition as well.
Yeah, the teams now work out what Arsenal are doing, what areas it goes into, but I'm not overly concerned because, you know, he's getting in the areas, and I think for me, I love how he presses, I love how he sets the tone, how he sets the intensity, and he goes into areas, then the Xhaka can get further forward, then other people can get further forward, and it's about the team, and I know every striker wants to be scoring goals, but he'll come good. It's just a little bit of a blip. It's a long season. You can't constantly be doing that. So I'm not concerned. I think it's class, and I think it's been an unbelievable signing.
Yeah, it's been no goals in the last 7 games, but that doesn't mean no impression on the matches.
No, you're right. 2 assists against Forest, for example. I found him quite tired against Southampton, for example. Even the PSV game before that. Yeah. I didn't find him tired at all against Forest. And Forest were not very good. But I think as long as he participates, and yes, sometimes I would rather him not defend too much. There's a time in the first half where he recovered the ball in his own box and gave away a corner, by the way. Yeah. But that's part of his game, and I think Arteta likes that, and he leads by example. So I'm with the guys too here.
A player that might be a bit of a worry about in a different sense is Bukayo Saka, who came off injured. Yeah. In that match, and not just for Arsenal, but England fans will be looking quite nervously at that for everyone's favourite inflatable unicorn jockey. You
know, the thing is, it was sad to see because, again, you look at Arsenal and people are already saying about he should be rested, he should have been rested by now. It was an awkward fall what he had, just opened his knee up, and the sign is always, Kaz, what you'll see in that is when someone's coming off how angry they are, or how despondent they are, and we saw with Varane how he was. Saka came off with a little bit more of an anger, like he was really like disappointed with it. He looked really vexed about it because I think that if Emile Smith-Rowe was fit, you know, maybe he would have got more of a break or a rest, and you know, the same with El Neni. If El Neni was fit, we just haven't got the depth, and we still haven't put teams away enough in the Europa League to be able to say, okay, we're going to rest him. We have to play him still. Whereas you thought he probably would have rested against Zurich. I think that he tried that one, and it's just, he's so dangerous now. He's getting fouled a lot, he's getting a lot of bodies around him, so you always worry about him. But it is a worry, simply because we're not a million miles away from the World Cup, but more importantly, he's in good form, and that's what Arsenal need at the moment.
You know what it was, Wrighty, when he was coming off injured, you see how many of the Arsenal players went up to him, you're all right, what's going on, you're all right. And it wasn't like the World Cup, it's like, he's our star player. That's a big sign for me when everyone goes over and like, you're all right, you're going to be fit for the next game. You know, is it all right? And I think that's telling.
Yeah, it's quite worrying. It's a little bit of a worry because you never know. Hopefully it's just a little obvious one. But like, you know, like I say, he wasn't really angry, like, oh no, it's not happening. So fingers crossed it's not a bad one.
Yeah, because he has been in fantastic form for Arsenal.
Yeah, and the cross for the Martinelli goal, for example, is just inch perfect, and it's a long one too, by the way, because Martinelli is the one giving him the ball, playing it wide. I just think he's been kicked a lot. The Southampton game was a disappointing game from Arsenal point of view, but they went hard on him and Jesus. And I think this is normal because he's so good and you target him as the main threat from Arsenal, one of the main threat, but he gets kicked a lot. And to be fair, I think this was coming too.
So Arsenal are leading the way at the top of the Premier League table.